Hey, how's everyone doing? This is John Q with ComicWow TV. Today we have a special guest, Trevor Schubert. He is an illustrator. For us, he's come here to Baltimore. He's got a few things that he's working on. If you could, Trevor, tell us about what you do.
Thanks, man. So I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and my big focus, my big passion has just been, I got to blame my dad for some of that as a kid. As we all were, avid comic book kids. My dad did that one thing that in the comic book code you never do, and he uncovered and unlocked all of these old books that he had as a kid. He wasn't one of those overly concerned people when it came to the integrity of the comic book, the quality of the book in terms of keeping it all sealed up. So at a young age, I'm thumbing through Spider-Mans that are in the double digits and X-Men's that are in the double digits, and yeah, I kept them in pretty good shape. But still, at 10 years old, 9 years old, that was what inspired me to go, I want to draw like that, I want to be like that, and just kind of have that imagination from an early age. So that's bled into everything that I do now, which is just book covers. I just finished a comic book. It came out 2 weeks ago, Necroman, undead superhero. And, it's all sorts of different projects, man. I'm just along for the ride and willing to jump on it with anybody that wants to take me.
It's outstanding. If I could ask, you brought a couple things there with you. If you could show us some of your illustrations that you have.
Sure, absolutely. So, again, I've done a lot of horror conventions. This is the first comic book convention that I've done, again, to support the new comic book. But we have, here's just a standard print that I did the other day. This was actually a cover reworked that I had done from a few weeks ago. Got a little, zombie action going on. That's only sort of popular right now.
So, a little Walking Dead-ish.
Yeah, a little bit, man.
Perfect timing, too.
Really want to pull from that kind of visceral, rotting flesh, just pulling apart. Really, really soupy stuff. So, at any rate, but again, for the convention, I usually do this every time I go to a con. I try and whip out anywhere from like 3 to 5 new prints. So this was one I just did on Friday, actually, start to finish.
See.
So we got
everybody knows who that is.
A lot of people commented on it today, so it was actually the first time I unveiled it here at this convention, and their thought process was like, what are you doing with that eye? I really like that eye. Well, my thought was, I like to inject a little bit, even though I'm doing, someone else's character, I like to inject a little bit more of my own personality into that. And, he's by nature, the character is a psychopath, so I need to have that crazy eye in there.
That
Absolutely.
is fantastic. That really is.
So,
now you did bring something that, I know you have something special there that I want to hold for a minute, but you just worked on a comic book. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Do you have it with you? So
I do.
So we can take a look at it. You can tell us a little about it.
This is Necroman. Necroman's undead superhero. He's through Paranoia Comics. Paranoia Comics picked me up, I want to say, about a year ago. Okay. They were originally looking for starting another project, and they saw all my horror artwork, all my zombie artwork, and thought, okay, well, this is a story about a undead superhero. What can you do with it? So, by all means,
it's great.
It's out now, and you can find it through my site, through paranoiacomics.com. There's a few other places that you can get a hold of it, but the biggest thing for me was this was the first comic book I've ever done. I'm a big digital artist. I'm a big traditional artist, and I like to work with both of those worlds. So to figure out how to do a comic book, I'm happy to help anybody that needs some help, because I learned a lot in a really short period of time. I realized when you're signing a contract, you got to think about all the fine details, like, oh, you're also doing the lettering. Oh, you're also doing the coloring. Oh, you're also doing the inking.
So everything.
Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that I signed up for, pun intended, and realized that there you go, let's run with it. So Photoshop was my best friend as far as the finishing process, but the initial development was just those old, tested, and time-honored, traditional art skills that I have. So by all means.
And if I could, we were talking earlier a little bit, and he told me that there's something near and dear to his heart, and he did bring it, and I definitely want to ask you about that. If you could go ahead and entice us here and tell us what you brought.
So the whole concept, before I show you, is I have kids myself, and at an early age, growing up in a big family, it was always the imagination that ruled, more so than the video games, more so than the books, and even the comic books. There was that time where you just use your imagination. And also, when your dad or your mom or whoever, any parental figure spent time with you, that in your eyes was just, you remember all those moments. Those are the things. So I really wanted to do a series based on the fact that in the eyes of a kid, you're a superhero. When you spend time with them, you are a
Yes.
superhero. And who doesn't want to be a superhero?
Oh,
come on.
It's the greatest feeling in the world.
So that's my thought process. But ultimately, this whole project, I kicked it off. I started it this weekend, and I'm going to have at least a dozen prints done, a dozen different ideas and concepts done that are already in the works that should be released sometime in the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
But the whole code name for now, until I figure out something better, is going to be Time to Be a Hero. So here we go.
Time to be a hero.
So
First
here we
look right here on ComicWow TV. First look with Trevor Schubert on his new venture. And if you could tell us a little bit.
So here we have the whole initial concept is, again, if you see, there's a lot going on. They're not all the pages will be able to be told on one single image. Some of these images will be done almost in a comic book panel style. We've got prints, but the whole idea is we've got a little girl here looking up over. This is the father figure and this big old grizzly bear. But realistically, down here in the mirror, what we have is the reality of what's going on in this situation, which is just a little girl's room with an average tea party. But in her eyes, it's this big elaborate scene. So this is really the process. I'm really excited about this because, and again, it's a combination of all those simple moments that we take for granted. Just doing the stereotypical, the floor is made of lava, whatever. The time you spend with your kids is so valuable to them. And it's so important to them that it resonates with everybody.
Now, if I could ask, is this how your kids make you feel? Do they make you feel like you're the superhero?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And again,
is that where a little bit of that inspiration came from?
Sure. And in fact, a lot of times, I'm asking them directly. I'm feeding from them to get some ideas half the time. So I should put them into creative rights somewhere.
That's outstanding. Absolutely, you should. Everything should be dedicated to them.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you social media.
Yeah.
How has social media helped you to get your name out there, and where can we find you and find your new venture, your new project that you're working on?
Well, John, social media has been a really explosive way for me to connect. You got to thank the wonderful people at that little book of faces, et cetera, that are that's a good place to go. Email marketing is a good way to go, but really, it's indelible. When you tell someone you're going to be someplace, you see people that come up to you and say, "Oh, I was so excited! I heard that you were going to be here, so I took time out to be aware of it." So those things are so indelible to me, and ultimately, that's where most of the time, when I'm working on a project or I'm doing something new, that's what I'm unleashing upon them. It's usually hitting the media sites first.
That's great.
So.
And Baltimore Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it. Tell me how you like it.
It's been explosive, man. Again, like I said, I haven't done comic books before, so really there wasn't a need. This is my first con, and ultimately I'm learning a lot of things. I'm meeting a lot of really good artists. Obviously, I've come across you guys here, and I'm so glad that I did because there's so much to take in. There's so much to learn everywhere you go, and I think the guys that just sit at their booths all day and try and push their product are missing out if they're not taking the time to reach out and meet with everybody.
Well, that's great. Trevor, I really appreciate coming in and stopping by and talking to us. Everybody, Trevor Schubert, he has a couple ventures here. Make sure you get on to ComicWow.com to find out where he's going to be and where he's going to have his things. This is John Q with ComicWow TV.
Thanks.